Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and along with me is the teensy tyrant of the tempo, Bethany McChesney. As always, yes, I forgot to say as always. That's the thing I do.
As
And this
usual.
episode, as usual, and this episode is brought to you by Duonamic, creator of cool door frame pull-up stuff that's difficult to say that I used actually today and quite a bit. I did a couple of grip and pull-up workouts today. I don't know if you're like this, but so and this is something I didn't even plan to talk about, but the grip and like pull-up workouts are the only workouts I do where I just keep going. You know, where like I'll have my plan and I write it out and I do that, and then I just keep adding on. You know,
Like
like
until you're totally fatigued?
sometimes, yeah, or just like, I'll wait 5 minutes and do a little more.
No.
I just keep
Yeah.
going. I don't know. I just, I'm watching TV 90% of the time. I'm doing it like, okay. And then, all right, I'll go over and do another set, or, I can do this, or, I'll do some finger curls, or, I'll do a couple
I
of
guess
obstacles,
because your gym is in your house, it's probably why you do that too.
but I don't do it with anything else. Just those. And,
You're not like, I'm gonna just do a couple extra lunges just for fun.
no, never, or run an extra mile. Nuts to that.
Yeah. 5 minutes later, oh, I should just do another little bit.
No, that doesn't seem to happen. That doesn't seem to happen for me. But and honestly, though, it's paid off. Like I never get elbow tendonitis or anything anymore, or any of that stuff. It's just gone. But yeah, so fall in love with the movement and just keep going.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Actually, I was having a discussion. I don't know if you and I ever talked about this, but we were talking the best at home aerobic device. If you have, why am I holding post-it notes? If if you were to pick like one aerobic device to have at home, what do you want?
Well, so for me, it was always the bike because if I'm running, I'm going outside. Now, since having kids, I do use a treadmill a lot more and a lack of hills. So I use the incline on the treadmill. But for me, it was always the bike. It just was it made the most sense for cross training. Doing
Yeah,
long aerobic efforts was the bike.
I'm the fan bike too, like with the the assault bike, the Echo, whatever you want to call it, just because it's working top and bottom, it's zero impact. You don't
Yeah.
even seem to have to warm up a great deal to get on. Like you can just warm up on it as you go.
Mhm.
It just, I love that thing. It's great. So anyway, I agree. And you know what? You don't plug them in. They're pretty portable, pretty light. They can go in the
Yeah.
smallest room.
Yeah.
Other than being,
Rollers are nice because usually you can make them pretty small. I just find I can't spend that much time on a rowing machine.
my butt gets sore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Really bad.
Yeah, like if you do like not maybe not a marathon row, but like say 40 minutes on there, an hour on there, like my ass gets sore. Like it's
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, definitely if you have one, buy one piece of equipment, get an assault bike or an echo bike or whatever. I don't know which
Yeah.
one's better. I have a cheap version of both. I don't know which one I would get.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a trainer that I put my road bike onto. So that's kind of always been my go-to since I was in university.
Do you ever crash off it? Like, is it like one of those ones where like
No, it's not the rollers. No,
I see
it's the
Kevin Gelati on that looks like he's gonna crash at any time?
no, I've never tried those.
I would
No.
for sure ditch it on that. No doubt. Okay. So I don't know why I brought that up. That was just something I was curious. We had talked about at work, and somebody asked me what the best one is. I'm like, yeah, I think the bike for sure, because that's what we do when we're not able to run. So we can do it all the time,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of Canadian track stuff going on. So what's happening with Canadian track?
Yeah, so we are in the middle of the World Championships for track and field right now. Yeah, Canada's actually putting in a good show. So one of our first medals was a thrower. Our shot putter, her name is Sarah. And I think this is our first medal in throwing events at a World Championship.
It was the hammer throw though, right?
Was it hammer?
I think it was hammer throw. Yeah.
So then, but our shot putter, was she fourth then?
I don't know. I missed
Because
that one.
our women throwing squad has actually been performing really well. Yeah, so then it was hammer, and that was our first medal at a World Championships in a throwing event. So Yeah, that was exciting to see. And then, so we had big news in the marathon. So the men's marathon was Sunday, and Cam Levins, who was the current national record holder with a 209, smashed his Canadian record, ran 207, finished fourth, which is the highest ever placing for a Canadian male at a world championship. Previous that, it was 10th in 93 by a Canadian male. So a huge story for Canadian distance running. Cam had a bit of a disappointing Olympics last year, and he just basically decided to completely reinvent himself as an athlete and take it to the next level, and that's what he did. So yeah, and he was the first white runner as well. So
Oh, wow.
Ethiopia, Kenya, and then the third one was I believe another African country. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
it always looks
that's their
good.
jam. Like the Africans just dominate the marathon, right?
Yeah, the East Africans. And it's interesting too when you see some of the people that, if they're not Kenya or Ethiopia, and then you're looking at some of the other countries like the smaller African states, a lot of them were still born in East Africa, and then they would gain citizenship in other places, or some of the South American countries also, so that they can get to these world championships, because the pool in Kenya and Ethiopia is just so big. At any given moment, they could have 200 guys who could take all the medals at world championship events. So if you're there and you're not in that top caliber, then and you want to be running at these world championships or Olympic events, then they will gain citizenship sometimes to other countries. So Cam
Well,
was in that mix this time.
well, like for them, from what I see, it's like the equivalent, like to grow up and be like the Olympic marathon, the world champion marathoner is kind of like in the States to be in the NFL or the NBA, or here to make the NHL.
Yeah,
Like that's the dream goal, right? That's the athletic goal.
yeah,
Or so it seems, because they're crazy about it. And I mean,
yeah.
their training programs must be intense, unbelievable to keep churning out
Mhm.
athlete after athlete after athlete after athlete. Like the programs must be amazing.
Yeah, it is. And that's just kind of like Canadians grow up, everyone learns to skate. It's everyone just runs there. And it is their ticket also to making good money. So even I remember when I was racing on the roads, there would be groups of people from some of the African states, and they would come and they would live in houses together in Hamilton, and they would do all the road races around to earn money, pay their way, and then they'd bring it back to their families. So it's just kind of the way that they think about like their golden ticket to wealth. And it makes sense, and they're really good at it, and they're training and living at altitude, they're running on soft surfaces. You have hundreds of people. I have friends who will go to training camps in Iten, Kenya, and they'll walk out to the track and there'll be people there just ready to run with them, and then they'll pay them a little fee to pace them in their workouts, and there could be 100 people on the track at any given time.
That's insane. I
Mhm.
So when you're doing like a road race, do you see like a Kenyan on the list and go, ah shit,
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Which
I'm
again,
going
you
home.
never really know, but like, yeah, I mean, stereotypically. Yeah.
So a couple of questions from stuff you said there. So the guy who set the marathon record, you said he had a poor Olympics and he come back and was going to reinvent himself and go to the next level of as an athlete. How exactly do you go to the next level when you're already at the Olympics?
I know. I know, such an underachiever, right?
Yeah. What the
I
he
don't,
was sleeping on it.
he didn't say, this is kind of what I was watching some finish line interviews with him, and he said he knew he was capable of running with those guys, and he just had to have the right moment. This was like a dream race for him. Everything kind of fell in line. He didn't go into specifics about how he started. I think it was sounded to me like he was just taking everything to the next level, like to be at that level. So, and he was our Canadian record holder already. So he's already the best Canadian marathon we've ever had, but it just wasn't enough for him. He wanted to be up at the front with these guys. So whatever he's done over the last year, I mean, he took 2 minutes off an already insane time. So at a relatively, like it was a pretty hot race too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. So what's that pace per kilometer roughly?
Oh, you're looking at like low threes.
This is wacko.
Yeah.
It's
Yes. I didn't look at splits and everything, but yeah, I know like the 2 hour marathon is running 3 minutes and just under per kilometer. It's unfathomable to us, Dave.
yeah, like, and you're fast. Like, I'm slow, so it's okay for me. But I'm just like, that's just to hold.
Yeah,
It's funny though, because these guys, like, their pace for like a 5K isn't much different than their marathon pace. Is it? Like, it might be a little bit faster, but it's still,
lately, yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, what they go through in 5K is still pretty unbelievable. Yeah,
it's
yeah, it would just be slightly like 5 to 10 seconds
per kilometer.
off.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's amazing. Um, in your experience in track, are the throwing athletes the best partiers? Because I would think they would be the best.
I'm trying to think who's the
Because
best partier.
because you think about it, right? Like, I mean, and I did from my little experience in track, I did a couple events. I did shot put and I did 400 meter, which was an odd thing to put together, but I was young, right?
Yeah,
But like when you're doing, shot put and stuff, it's like you just power and stuff. Like you're not,
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna eat a lot more. I'm gonna work out lots and eat lots, and then I'm gonna, I can have a few drinks here and there because I'm not worried about my race weight or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, definitely different than the distance runners. I love the throwers. I don't know, they were such a good time, super friendly. I actually remember sometimes at parties, a couple of the girls on the team used to joke around and like shot put me back and forth. Because I'm tiny now, but when I was a pure distance runner, I was tiny. And so that was kind of the joke that they had. And yeah, there was, I don't know, the whole track team is such a unique dynamic because you're such different athletes on the track team. But yeah, they're a lot of fun.
I think about it too when you think about the throwers and like the shot puts kind of thing. We hear people complain, I don't want to drive or travel so far for a 5K or a 3K or whatever because the rate is too quick. It's over too fast.
Yeah,
It's too much travel or whatever for that little bit. These people go all that way for 3 throws.
right.
Like, that's it. It's making 3 throws and I'm out. Sometimes
Yeah.
two.
Or think too, sometimes with your high jumpers or your pole vaulters, they could no height.
Yeah.
So you could literally just show up and like miss the bar each time and you don't even have a score.
Yeah. So that's what I try to explain to people. You're there for the competition. You're not there for,
Yeah,
time logged, at least for me anyway. I go
right.
for the competition, for the fun that way.
Yeah. It's like a 1,500 meter runner isn't going to say, oh, I'm going to run the 5,000 because this race is so far away. I want to make it worth my time on the track.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. That's why you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Or the people or your sprinters with a 10-second race.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
so this is an interesting transition then too. So with the 100 meters, so you've trained, your whole year is for this 100-meter race. So we at the World Championships too, there was a lot of controversy with the starting blocks. So I've never used starting blocks, but there's technology now where to call false starts, it's actually a sensor on the starting blocks. And they've set it now, so they've determined arbitrarily that nobody can react faster than a tenth of a second to the gun. So they have them set so that if you move under a tenth of a second, then you must have false started, which it's not really a false start, it's just a really fast reaction. So Devin Allen, he's the Canadian, he's a 110 hurdler. So I think he was a top ranked hurdler going into the race. So his reaction time was 1/1000th of a second faster. So it triggered his sensor. And if you watch video, he's exactly the same as everybody else. And he got disqualified. He got a false start and gets taken from the race.
see, I like technology and some things, right? Like I like to introduce technology in sports. It's great. Like finish line, the laser lines going right
Yeah.
across, the high def photos to make sure that you get it right. A lot of stuff to make sure you get it right. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I don't like stuff like you said, like that predictive or saying, well, people can't do this or can't do that. Because in my mind,
Right.
got blocks, right? That means this is all about the start, right? You got to, it's like a drag race. You're timing, which
Yeah.
means being able to time and guess when that gun goes off is part of the game.
It is. And that's what sprinters do is
Yeah.
you anticipate, right? Everyone's in the set position and you anticipate it. Um, so the other thing about this is typically they let that runner still run and they say they're running under dispute. So let the race go. No final decisions have been made yet. With 100, it's not like you're taking, like you're impeding in someone's space, or there's like
No.
tactics in the race, like in a 1500 or something. But they wouldn't even let him do that. So literally his whole year leading up to the world championships, and it's essentially a flaw of the technology in the system.
Yeah.
And he's known for having a crazy reaction time. So he's like, I'm fast. And so talk about putting all this time and effort and travel and money, and then that's it. That's your world championships.
Like I could see them putting a sensor of like his foot comes off the block, right? So if his
Mhm.
foot comes off the block, maybe that reads a false start. But
But before the gun,
before the
he
gun,
still released, it was still after the gun. It was just faster than they think is humanly possible.
yeah, and that's what I mean. So that's not right. That's not cool. I don't like
It's
that.
not even a false start. He was just faster than what they set the sensors to.
Do you remember when Ben Johnson was racing? And I mean, obviously, well, Ben Johnson has issues, but he used to false start on purpose all the time to kind of freeze the field and just get
Uh-huh.
them off their nerves and stuff because he was so quick off the start, right? So he'd like
Mhm.
false start once to make everybody messed up and kind of screw with their heads, and then get
Yeah.
his jump the next time. I mean, that was that was
So
part of the
they've
fun.
made rules because of this now, right? Like now there's only a one false start rule.
But that's even better because now you false start, right? Because isn't it, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it now if you false start, that's kind of like then whoever false starts next is
Whoever, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's one false start given to the field.
So if you're a really good starter and you false start on purpose at the beginning, then you've put everybody on tension. Like you've got all their playing on the backside because they're like, well, crap, now I can't even try my best start because I got to make sure this.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's ever a
Totally do
strategy
that.
that sounds good to me.
Would totally do that. That sounds like great fun.
No. But then you also have to consider the effort that it takes to just come out of those blocks. Like in a 10-second race, even the first half a second counts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, big time. So with all this stuff going on, you sent me something else about the girl who won that was a 136-mile race.
Oh, yes. And I'm forgetting her name now, but
I will look it up while you mention what you talk about.
it's not Hard Rock. Yeah. So, yeah, talking about cheating, sort of, but not on purpose. But yeah, so this one of the endurance races that happened on the weekend, one of the ultras, a female, so she won and set a course record, fastest time ever run by a female. And there's people aren't necessarily willing to believe that it's true because she was caught with a banned substance in her system and served a 6-month ban because they believed her when she said it was accidental instead of the typical 2-year ban for this drug. And then she cut a course in a race, also accidentally. So with these things that have happened to her in the past, she kind of she has a bit of a bad reputation. So now she does this amazing thing. And now everyone is just saying, I don't believe it to be true. And she ran segments of the race faster, like the third fastest time, even for a male. So it is seeming relatively unrealistic. But again, people won't even attempt to believe it because of her past. So it's one of those things where it's like once you're accused of cheating, your name is kind of always tainted.
Ashley Paulson.
Ashley Paulson, yeah. And the race was
Badwater? Yeah,
Badwater. Yeah, right.
And I read through it too, and it was like the splits she put at the end were crazy, unreal. And the other thing too is apparently because marathon investigators are the ones that look into it. And by the way, marathon investigators, I love it. It's awesome.
And they do a really good job.
They really do, and they're very fair. They're very impartial. I
Yeah.
love the stuff they do. Um, all she needs to do to kind of clear her name is like put her Strava out there that she did the course correctly,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and everything's cool, right? Because you can get so much information from Strava when you're talking the cadence, the heart rate, all that stuff. When you add everything together, it makes it. If you have your Strava on, it's very difficult to cheat, to be honest, because
Yeah.
you know,
Well, so one of the things they said though was that they accused her of giving her watch to her pacer.
yeah, I heard that. I saw that then they were dressed the same, but
Yeah.
what
The
I read,
dressing the same, that's not really
yeah,
a fair point because people typically do that with their pacers.
what I read on there was that marathon investigations didn't think that was the case. They didn't believe that was what she had done. But
Yeah.
that apparently in this race before, people have done it where they have jumped in the van and done little bits of the segments in the van because you're allowed to support van kind of thing.
Yeah. Which you would see that on your Strava.
Yeah, exactly. It would show up very easily.
Mhm.
So, but for some reason, like, and here's the thing: if I'm an athlete and I've done a race and someone accuses me of cheating and I haven't cheated, well, that's the first thing I'm going to do is say, yeah, here's my watch data. Take a look. Right?
Right.
I got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
But if you're still not releasing it for some reason, that it really it doesn't help your cause.
Yeah.
You know? So hopefully she
Yeah.
will release it, and hopefully she was legit. That would be great,
Right.
right? Like I
And she
don't,
did something really amazing then. If
yeah, and that'd be great. So release it, show you did something really amazing, and let us all celebrate it and have it. But the reason I mentioned is because with all these other stuff that you see, like you're saying, great accomplishments by the Canadian people doing that, it's like it's hard to get excited for it because you see so much of this stuff, and it just like you say, it always puts that forever taint on. Once you're caught, you've got that stigmatism to you until
yeah.
who knows how long. Like,
Right.
yeah, so that's rough. I feel for her, but in the same way, I don't feel for her because she's cheated in the past, and it's just
Right.
you know I don't know,
Yeah.
especially when I read that the one about the course cutting where she said she got lost, but her watch said she pretty much did the same distance, so they said it was okay, which
Yeah.
isn't right because we all know any race where you come off course, the rules generally are you need to come back onto course where you come off course and then proceed from.
Right.
Doesn't matter how
And
far.
she would know that. I did a road race once in Burlington, and because I was leading, um the people directing people weren't really even paying attention when I got there. And so I did run 200 meters down one road, realize I'm definitely off course. And then so you run all the way back to where you were, and then I'm back in the mix with a group of people. But like I wasn't going to just like, oh well, I'll take this route around, it'll be about the same 5K distance. No, like you just have to go back onto the course where you came off. Like it sucks, but it happens to us sometimes. And yeah, you go back on where you were.
It's not
And but
Google
then the
Maps.
interesting thing that they made with that one too is she made an Instagram post about it and her time and her placing, and without ever saying, but I went off course.
That's not important data. That's not right. And you're right, it's not like Google Maps. You can't take the alternate route. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, like, yeah, it makes it hard for me to get excited about some of these other great accomplishments. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool, but I'm waiting for the results of the blood test now.
Right. I
And then
know.
I'll celebrate it. I want to see sometime some athlete, like a Canadian athlete, especially, win a gold medal. And the first thing they say, in that finish line interview, when they're out all exhausted and out of breath, and just say, bring on the P test. I'm ready.
They give you that P test though almost as soon as you cross the line. Like they usher you into doping control, and you have to wait until you can fill that bottle. So like you imagine you've just run a race, you're totally dehydrated. You cannot always produce a sample right away. So yeah, they take you right in, even so that in case you've even taken something in like on in the race.
I was thinking about that. Like, So if you finish a race, and I figured, right, like that's the way it works. They usher you right in, want to get the test, but you're super dehydrated. You're going to actually have to drink some stuff, right?
Yeah.
So is it not possible? And I don't know much about drugs, but is it not possibly like intaking some kind of masking agent or something along that lines as you're drinking once you cross the finish line, something along that? Because they can't not have you drink. You're freaking dehydrated. You gotta drink to pee.
Yeah. I have never looked into how to cheat properly, so I don't know if there's something you can take to mask it that quickly. I don't know. I mean, I think like as technology gets better, they're learning to be able to find this stuff in our systems better.
Yeah, they're
So
learning to cheat better too, though. And so
yes, exactly.
users are
It's
always
kind
one
of,
step ahead.
I think the cheating is slightly ahead of the doping control. So unfortunately.
By the way, if you are an athlete that dopes, um, I have never done any drugs of any kind, and I will sell my urine for like $100 a bottle. Guaranteed clean. If you test positive with my urine, I'll give you your money back. It's a good deal. It's a good deal. I think it's fine. I think it's complete. There might be rules against using it, but I don't think there's any laws against selling your urine.
Also something I've never looked into, so I don't know.
I'll Google it tonight for sure. One more thing I wanted to talk about, and just more of a congratulations. And again, I don't think it matters, even if she was doping, but she wasn't for sure, because I don't think she does. But Ida Matilda Steengard set a record for I think it's the world's highest women's rope climb out of water.
Okay, she said there was 2 records in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the one was the highest rope climb out of water for women. And then the other one was another women's record too. It might have just been
Speed.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, it was,
Okay.
I think it was 28 meters. It was probably about 100 feet for
Yeah,
a rope climb, and
28 meters. Yeah.
20 meters. I thought it was really cool. Anita's just such an amazing person.
Mhm.
I was glad to see it. Obviously, she's a little bit copying Leon there, not very creative.
His was the highest rope climb, like because
He
he did
did
it
like
from a hot air
hot air
balloon.
balloons. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it was a hell of a long rope climb too. But
yeah, yeah.
and anyone who thinks like a 28-meter rope climb, well, that's not so bad. But you think about it, you don't even, when you're using your legs, if you're doing like a 20-foot rope climb, a Spartan, you're not realizing once you get up higher how heavy the rope gets for you to use your legs, and just how difficult it is
Oh,
to use that J hook and stuff like that. And then especially at the bottom of the ropes in the water, that makes it heavier. And yeah, it's just not easy. Like, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I like rope climbs. I'm a big fan. I would love to someday do some epic
try
rope
it.
climb adventure and see what we could get in that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really intrigued by that, and just a big fan of Edith. So good for
Mhm.
her. Hopefully we'll get to talk to her about it one day.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I think we'll get to our guest. We have a guest, Julie White Wolff. She is race director for Phoenix Race and Scenic City Race, and hosts DECAs and all that. And so she's a person who has started out as like an OCR open waiver, and has just worked her way up into, I don't even know how I'd put it, but like, a bit of a female force in the industry in the Southern OCR. So Julie White Wolff.
Hello.
She there?
Yeah.
Hey, your hair looks fantastic.
Hey,
I'm certain that it is always that way, and that you have not done anything special to make it so.
absolutely not.
Excellent, excellent. So quick introduction, Julie. This is Bethany. Bethany, this is Julie. And since I like the way we started, I'm not going to delete anything. So Julie is, you know what, Julie, I know you as like, you were, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you were like an OCR open waiver who kind of just evolved.
Yes, that's a good explanation.
And that's all we have time for. Thank you very much. No, go on. Yeah, come lay it out there.
I found OCR at a difficult time in my life. I think like a lot of people do. Signed up for a race and cried at the start line of a sprint, and thought, I can't do this. There's no way I'm going to die. Long story short, not only did I finish it, but The next year I got a double trifecta. The following year I was running the ultra. I fell in love with the sport. I toyed a little bit with running age group, and it wasn't for me. I like the camaraderie and just having fun on the course. And got an opportunity to help with an event. And it just, I knew from the moment that they asked me to help direct an event that it was what I was meant to do. I loved it. Jason built the obstacles for the event. I directed the entire event. Of course, this was as a contract for somebody else. And it just worked. It worked perfectly. We had over 1,000 racers at our very first event. And, you know, we knew from then on, that's what we wanted to do. We didn't know what direction we were going in with it, but that's what we wanted to do. So we contracted with several different race brands in different facets, you know, from marketing to directing to building their course, and then turnkey. And then COVID. And when COVID hit, all these brands didn't want to host because they were scared to host during COVID. And knowing that OCR is kind of what really changed my perspective on life, I thought, you know, this is the worst time in the world that we've seen in our, you know, our generation, and people still need OCR in their life, and we can do it safely. And so from then on, I said, you know what, I'm doing my own thing. You can be with me, or you can watch. So that's how the Phoenix was born. We started in 2021. We had 8 races last year, 8 obstacle course races. We kind of got roped into a couple of triathlons, but that was our first year. This year we have 9, and next year we hope to grow even bigger.
So in your first year, of Phoenix, so was 2021, that was the first year of Phoenix?
Of Phoenix, yes, the Phoenix brand.
8 races. How many does Savage have?
I don't know.
But it can't be much different. Like I think they may be in the low teens. Like that is a lot of races for a first year. Normally a race brand, like we have like Course Extreme up here, which happens to be the shirt I'm wearing today. I think they maybe had like 3, you know, a dead end race again. There are 1 or 2, like 8 races is a lot. And I know that you guys are in a bit of a hotbed, right? In that southern kind of like Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Carolina, that area is really an OCR hotbed. And Beth, actually, you got to take a trip down there sometime, because there's like a race every weekend somewhere, and it's all the same people you see all the time, but it's like, it's such a hotbed. It's crazy. I'm just blown away. I had no idea that you got 8 races in the first year.
So were all of your races at the same site, or you were going to different locations?
No, they were all in different locations. This year we have North Georgia, Chattanooga, Kentucky, 2 in Alabama, one's in North and one's in South, Mississippi, Ohio, Black Swamp. I might be leaving one out because I didn't count, but so they're all over the place. We don't do just one location. We've thought about doing a spring and fall, but you know, like Dave said, there's a lot of events down here. We don't really want to take away from anybody else's event by over hosting. We would never, like, I'm for OCR, not just Phoenix race. I want all of OCR to succeed. And I'm really big on helping other races get started, helping other race directors, you know, with anything they need. If we don't have an event and our rig's available and somebody needs to borrow it, it's theirs. You know, I talk to people all the time that say, I want to host a race, a charity race. Can you help me? Absolutely. You know, it so much so that I even came up with a cheat sheet that I can send them, that just kind of says, here's what you do and here's your steps to get it done. Because the more races that do come up and the more people, you know, if you started a race brand right now, your sphere of influence is going to be totally different than mine or our ambassadors. So that brings more people to the sport, and as they try it, they fall in love with it and they want to try all the different brands. So it just helps the sport as a whole for all of us to, you know, work together and not book on top of each other, which is a total hot topic. But just play nice and as a race director in OCR. So that's why we haven't double booked a spring and a fall yet.
But that is something I've always seen, like I've noticed down there. And I mean, you talk about the race brands that are like yourself. Oh my God. And like, what's the other one I'm thinking of? They always have the heavy carries. Oh my God.
Green beret,
green beret, things like that. Like you guys, the Barbarian Challenge, and then as well with Hubie with Indy Mud Run, you guys don't seem to step on each other's toes.
absolutely not.
And that takes a lot of coordination.
Yeah, it does. So Green Beret Challenge isn't really in our realm anymore. He's kind of done some different things, but Cal and Hubie and Alyssa, I mean, we all try to work together, to make it make sense. We started the Ohio Grand Slam back up because when I bought that race, because it's like, hey, I want to work to make this work for all of the smaller brands, which now it's kind of like, okay, right now it's me and Jake left. That's it. It's us and Warwick. So we're really hoping that, something pulls through on the Indian Mud Run side for next year, or at least that location. But, next year we want to do an Alabama series, and we had started the Alabama series back up. And then when Brian from Bone Frog had kind of said, hey, I don't think that race is going to happen. So we kind of nixed the Alabama series for this year, just because it was two of my events in Barbarian, and that was it. So hopefully we can get that going again next year, just anything to work together and spread the word about the sport.
Now, I saw you guys, you were out at Indian Mud Run, and obviously we all know that was the last Indian Mud Run by name at the very least. Are you involved with trying to get something else out there? Like from what I saw, it seemed like predominantly like Sid from Battle of the Lions might have been the driving force in that, but I don't know. I'm not on the inside for that stuff. But are you involved with that kind of group?
So no is the short answer. They have mentioned to us coming up and bringing some obstacles. I think for me, it's really going to depend on the management of the event, whether we'll be involved or not. Without getting too down and dirty, I think it'll just depend on, the race management part of it, the aspect of it. Because, we're a very, very structured and organized company, and I'm a very structured and organized person, and that's how I operate. So, if we can put some structure and organization into something and make it work for everybody and all the different brands come in, I think that'd be amazing.
So with your Phoenix race, then what would you say makes that race unique from the other ones?
What? First and foremost, we are a race by racers. So, Jason and I had ran over 100 races each when we started the brand. So we took the things we hated about the races, and like standing in long registration lines, I can't stand that. Bottlenecks on the course, can't stand that. Burpee options, we don't like that. We took all the things we didn't like and made sure that didn't happen in our events. And then we took the things we did like and improved upon them. We love the element of surprise. You will never run a course of ours that is exactly the same. Even, we bought the Black Swamp race, and it is a permanent course. But even with it being a permanent course, we'll bring our own flair to it and mix it up every time. Troy and Sandy did mix it up great, but we'll bring some new things that the Black Swamp runners haven't seen before. That's one of the big things, is that we really mix it up and do our very best to cater to the racer experience, both competitive and open heat. We want to have a really awesome hard rig, but we also have to understand that 80% of our participants are open heat people too. So, I think we do a good balance on that, where we challenge some folks. We've had a couple races that were like a 2% completion rate, and we had to, have a little powwow. We have to take that down, not make it so hard next time. But, and Jason hates that because he wants it to be, super hard. And so
I
finding
like
a
where
good
Jason's
balance.
going with these things. I think he's doing a great job. And I think that 2% completion is completely acceptable. And it's okay if you can't finish the obstacle, get the hell off the course. That's your problem.
I think you need to run competitive in Chattanooga.
All right, I will.
I think you do. And our swag. So, if other race brands that have 8 races, if you go out and race all 8 of those races, you're getting 8 of the same medal. If you come out and race all 8 of my races, you're getting at least 7 different medals. So, we try to mix that up and that's why we have different experiences at different races. All of our races aren't just called the Phoenix race. You have the Scenic City Mud Run, which is the Chattanooga event. You have the Black Swamp Run, which, we kept Black Swamp because that's what the race was born and grown as. You have the Tuscaloosa Gauntlet because it is in Tuscaloosa and it's a military course. You have the Murder Creek Mud Run. It's on the Murder Creek. And that way you have all these different fun marketing ideas and designs that you could come up with. So you have a different medal at each different race. The Berserker Battle, for example, that's a killer medal. That's our November race in Kentucky, and it's sponsored by Berserker Brew Coffee. So, and he does a wonderful job with his marketing and all of his brand assets. So I had a lot of fun playing with that logo and color scheme too. So I think that helps because you can differentiate, if you love the Phoenix race and you ran all of them, you got all kinds of different swag to show for it.
I saw I think it's the last, was it the last Phoenix medal? Actually, that one looks pretty cool. I'm not, is it for Scenic City? I'm looking forward to that one. That's a good one. I like that one. Kind of out and sorry, what was that?
I love that medal.
Yeah,
I'm looking.
That's a good design. So not only are you doing this, but you also have been involved in some DECA events, helping either, I don't know if you're hosting them yourself or helping hosting, but somehow you've been involved in that.
Yeah. So, we have there's a gym, an OCR gym here owned by a business partner of mine in another venture and also very close friend of mine. And we were looking for ways to jazz things up in the gym. So I called Nelson with Spartan. He's awesome dude. And with DECA actually, and said, hey, I want to do this, I want to host this. So we had one and I said, okay, well, I want more. I want to do it again. And so we started working together to grow the DECA concept in our area. Just this past weekend, there were 2 DECAs here. We are hoping to have our 2 DECAs centered around Scenic City. And, there's quite a few affiliates, popping up here in our area now, which we're excited about that because it's just a different avenue of fitness. So we have been enjoying that. I don't work for DECA by any means, but I enjoy helping Nelson get connected with the right people in order to host some events. I mean, one of our marketing, the avenues of marketing that we use at Phoenix is wherever we're hosting locally, we go in and meet the gym owners, we take them flyers. So we get to know a lot of cool people and a lot of people that would benefit from a DECA. So because the gym does make money doing a DECA. So it's helpful for the gym owners too.
Okay. Sorry.
So you have 2 DECA events in the same weekend at one gym?
That is our goal. We're looking to do the DECA Strong on Friday night, the Chattanooga race on Saturday because it's only 20 miles between the 2, and then a mile on Sunday.
And that is the one I'm going down for.
What?
That's the one I'm going down for.
So then your job is actually, so you're not the gym owner, you're going in and you're running the events for the gym owners.
Yes. Well, I don't run any of the events other than the one at our gym. I'll do that one, but Nelson does all the rest of them.
Okay.
So again, it's that kind of team effort kind of deal.
Yeah. And I mean, Nelson is just one of the coolest people I've ever met and one of the hardest working people I've ever met. I don't know anybody that doesn't mind being in New Jersey in the morning and Georgia in the evening and then working all night to get it done. But he's a workhorse. So, and I like to partner with people like that. You know, if you surround yourself with people that are exuding that kind of effort and positive attitude, it's got to bring you up.
Yeah, just to backtrack a bit, when you got into doing the race director thing, like you really didn't have experience. And I've seen the inside of what being a race director is, and it's a fucking ton of work. It's not easy, and there's a lot of things you can screw up. How do you just jump in? Like, how are the growing pains on that?
Well, I learned a lot. You know, my background was in a marketing firm. So, and I was an operations officer there. I was a sales manager and the operations officer. So part of my job there was hosting large scale trade shows, hosting large scale events for clients, with clients, and then of course on our own. So hosting large scale events was, you know, something I had a lot of experience with. Not sporting events. So, you know, I grew a lot. I learned a lot. And I was very honest with people. You know, I kind of jokingly said I got thrown into a triathlon, and I did. And I didn't know anything about triathlons. I did my best to study and research and find mentors that could help me. But I was up front with all of those triathletes and saying, hey, this is my first stab at it. We're just trying to keep this race going. And every one of them were thrilled. They gave suggestions, which I want. You know, if you see something that you think would help make our race better next year, I absolutely want to know about it. So, you know, it's just growing pains. You learn a lot. I can't think of anything that has been a huge growing leap, but adaptation is the main thing. You've got to be able to roll with the punches. You've got to be able to adapt. You know, you can look at our history of weather related issues. Mother Nature hates me. You know, we've had to cancel once due to a hurricane. We showed up at the race beginning at 6 a.m. to a flood in Murder Creek last year. Took us an hour and a half, and we rerouted the entire course, including closing down a major highway to get across the creek. But we made it happen. We started an hour and a half late, but, you know, most brands would have said, canceled, you know. And we just, you know, we had the racers on their way, so we had to give them a race.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've organized a couple events just through my gym as well. But yeah, what you have juggling on your plate just sounds incredible to me. How do you do it all?
You know, I'm a busy person. I love to stay busy. When I am an idle mind, for me, is just not a good thing, because I think of something else that I need to do. Or you know, the same friend that owns the gym, she and I started a kayaking business this year. So we do kayaking and tubing here locally. And we started that as a way to help our local economy, because a lot of the little stores were closing down. And you know, we had no idea if people would, but this past weekend we put almost 200 people in the creek, and like, that is my relaxation, when I get to go and hang out. And, you know, we drive them up in a really cool shuttle bus that they can sign their name on, and, you know, put families on there, and sometimes we'll float down with them. That's kind of my refresh self-care type time, I guess. But it's also you know, a means to help the community. So I make a lot of lists. That's about all. That's about the only advice I have, or explanation on how I can get it all done.
So from a selfish point of view now, so you say no burpees or anything like that. So what is the rule set like at a scenic city? Like, we're going to scenic city. What do we expect from a course?
100% completion to keep your band.
Mm-hmm.
No exception. We do not offer podiums if we don't have 3. That has happened a couple times in our female heat. It hasn't in our male heat. But we feel like, you know, we're a world qualifier, and we feel like if you're going to take a podium, you need to be able to complete the obstacles. You know, we're not a trail run, we're an obstacle course race. And so that's, you know, you got to be able to do the obstacles to qualify. That's for the pro level, that is. You know, we have a couple of our signature obstacles. Our Gorilla Gauntlet rig is one of them. You never know what it's going to look like. He comes up with some of the craziest stuff. It's always different. It's always mixed up. You may see some of the same elements, but they may be used in a different way. One time we have rings, of course, and one day I came up and the rings were hanging 6 foot down, 7 foot down. I'm like, what is this? Well, you're going to put your feet in them. You're going to figure it out. He uses all kinds of, there's pipes, there's all kinds of little holes, there's grippies and ropes and cargo nets and just a plethora of stuff. So that's one of our signature obstacles. Mount Fike is a signature obstacle, which imagine a slip wall, but extremely steep. And then straight up the center of it are peg holes. So you can use your feet on the wall and you're climbing with the pegs.
I'm going to snap that.
The peg wall or straight across pegs is one that you will definitely see at Scenic City. And then we like to give each race its own signature. So like Scenic City has a 150-foot water slide that is just massive. It's like a big slip and slide, basically. So that is definitely to be expected. At Scenic City, the other thing that I really love about that venue is there's a quarry. And in that quarry, we run you down through this single track trail that, you're talking 18 inches wide and it slopes off on either side. So,
that's not good because I'm like 20 inches wide. I'm already in a lot of trouble.
It's steep enough on some parts that we actually run lifeline across it, just, in case anybody slips. They're not going to plummet to their death or anything. We don't.
You signed a waiver.
Yeah, you did. But, I'd like to keep it injury free. We've had a couple of little things happen, but never any severe injuries. I'd like to keep it that way.
Rye, you're not allowed to race.
Thank you.
How do you get your volunteers?
So a couple different ways. Our ambassador program is set up so that if you're an ambassador with our brand and you volunteer for the competitive heat or to be an obstacle judge, because it's always awesome to have obstacle judges that know what they're doing. So our ambassadors get first pick at that, and if they volunteer for those 2.5 to 3 hours, then they race for free that day. So most of them don't turn that down. In the end, we partner with different organizations like at Murder Creek, we partnered with Paws Crossed. They brought in 40 volunteers that were absolutely the most amazing people. They were cheerleading, they were cutting bands, they were handing out medals, anything. They stayed and cleaned up. And then in turn, we make a donation to their charity. So we like to partner with charities because it helps both. But our ambassadors are absolutely invaluable to us.
So something key that I thought you said there, and I've been harping on this a bit about this lately, is like 2 to 3 hours, and this is something I've griped about when I brought to Spartan's attention. 5:30 to 2 p.m. is too long for a volunteer. Yeah. 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever, something like that. It's much more reasonable. That seems much more intelligent. Definitely the way to go. It's probably one of the reasons you have a good volunteer turnout is because you're not destroying them and making them walk away going, oh my God, I'm just dead. That's horrible. How am I supposed to race now? Because I feel like crap. But
yeah, 2.5 to 3 hours for a race for free is fantastic. I like that you said we give them the opportunity to do this first, like saying you get to be a judge at this obstacle and get your race for free. It's like volunteering is like an opportunity for them. It's not trying to convince people to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
Well, psychological.
Yeah, I know.
I like to look at it as, our race, if on race day, I think it's $80 is the most expensive it gets. It might go, I think it might be $89.99 on race day. So even if you were registered on race day at $90. What's your time worth? If you have to volunteer for 8 hours, that's basically $10 an hour that
Right.
you're just giving back to the race brand. So, most of our races start at $39 and they go to $59 and so on. So I average say $60 for a race. Well, if I take up 3 hours of somebody's time, basically that's $20 an hour. So that's not a bad gig. They get to turn around, race for free. They all get free gear. So I'm very, very big on making it for our pro team, for our ambassadors. If they're doing extra, they get rewarded big time. I mean, if we have somebody that's really outstanding, I'll say, hey, are you coming to the X race? I got your hotel. Or, we'll take our volunteers out to dinner after teardown, and, just rewarding the people for helping and being a part of your brand. We're small, there's me and Jason that are full time. That's it. We do have some build crew helpers, but we have one that's at just about every race, and then the rest of it we rely on volunteers or just he and I building.
And again, something else that's huge that you brought up is like on average $60 a race. That's that's not 200,
No.
and that's the thing. And a lot of times we're facing that, especially if you sign up late. Like, it's not unusual for some of the bigger brands to be paying $150 to $200 Canadian anyway. So even like, well north of 120 plus all the fees and parking, whatever else. So, I mean, that's a really good value, and you're still getting your medal. Do you get t-shirts too, or no?
Yeah.
So medal, t-shirt, race, like that's a freaking smoking deal.
Yeah. And we don't, unless the venue requires it, which we only have 2 venues that require us to charge parking. There's no parking, there's no bag fees, there's no nothing like that. I mean, if you are coming to our race, you don't have to bring a dime with you unless you want to buy some swag, but once you pay that registration fee, everything's included in it. I think a $59.99 registration after tax, and the online fee, whatever they charge, $64 out the door and done. And that's important to me, to keep our costs as low as possible, because when I started racing, I was newly divorced, single mom, lost my job. So I was struggling, paying for races was not something that was on the top of my list. So, I like to keep them affordable for every, think about it. If you got 2 kids that want to race, which we love to have families out, 4 people, that's outrageous. If you're paying, spear throw prices.
Is there spear throws on your course?
No.
Yay! No, I don't mind spear throw. I do well at the spear throw. Yeah, I can definitely relate, but I was newly divorced because my top priority was paying for races, and apparently that's not the right way to do it. So anyway, I'm very much excited. I'm looking forward to getting down there. Oh, I got some feedback. Go ahead, Beth.
Oh, it's good now. Yeah, it just went crackly for a minute.
Okay, now?
Yeah, it sounds fine now.
Okay. I'm really looking forward to getting down there. As my wife is from the area, it's kind of like a second or even first OCR home for me, because it was just amazing. Every time I've raced down there, has been treated so well and so welcomed, and the community is fantastic. I look forward to it. And yeah, I am going to run that competitive wave and see what we can do there. And hopefully I can one day drag Bethany down there, because I think she would love it.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be a good time.
You might as well jump in the car with him. I mean, you got a free place to stay.
That's right. We got room.
There you go.
Awesome. Do you got anything else for Jill?
No, that's great. Thanks so much for joining us. You're doing amazing work. You have your heart in the right place with all of it. So I hope your brand continues to grow and keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully we'll meet in person one day.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.